it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, September 13th. So today we do have the moon in Aries moving into Taurus energy. We will have the moon go void, of course, shortly after midnight and lock into that Taurus energy around 7:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is one of the moon days that I talked about in this week's ascension forecast. We have 7 different aspects here today, and all 7 of them involve the moon. So the very last aspect that the moon in Aries makes before going void, of course, is a square getting into the boxing ring, fighting it out with Pluto, the god of the underworld, Mr. Transformation himself. Now, this likely isn't going to feel good. What this is likely going to do is trigger a lot of pain, a lot of memories, a lot of trauma that is going to make us angry. This Aries energy is highly irritable, highly frustrated, using anger as the motivation, as the fuel, as the fire to actually make a change within. And if you listen to yesterday's energy forecast, you would know that that's how we ended the day off, with a little bit of uncomfortability, some frustration, so that we could use that as the fuel to fire us up to actually make the changes that we know we have to make. This Plutonian energy being retrograde in Capricorn is trying to highlight for us all of the times that we gave our power away and how those situations unfolded for us. And when we boss up and we take control over our lives and we make the transformation and the changes that we know we need to make, instead of sitting back and letting life happen to us, we make life happen for us, we have a much better outcome. Now, this particular energy with Pluto is going to put us under a lot of pressure, is going to trigger and activate those not so nice thoughts and feelings and emotions within us in order to actually push us into cutting the cord with some of the blockages, the doubts, the insecurities that have been preventing us from moving forward wholeheartedly. The moon, while void, goes ahead and bumps into the sun in a very positive way, which would suggest that, guess what? The sitting in the funk, recognizing what is broken, recognizing what we don't want to experience anymore, is providing us with an opportunity to see solutions. The sun in the Virgo energy is shining a bright light on how we're going to solve them, how we're going to fix them, what we need to do to return to a state of happiness, of safety, of security, of wholeness. The moon in Aries, especially being void, of course, is very shaky, very unstable, very uncertain, but also tapping into the spontaneous, I'm going to say, aggression that actually motivates us and inspires us to boss up, to do what we have to do, to take charge into our lives and actually start addressing some of the problems that we know we have, that we know that aren't going to fix themselves, so that we can take control over these aspects of our lives and actually be accountable and responsible for the outcome of our healing, of our circumstances. At 3:38 a.m., we have the moon semi-squaring Mars. Now, this is the last aspect that the moon in Aries will be making before shifting into the Taurus energy. Also, let me just say, anytime we're moving out of a fire energy, which Aries is, into an earth energy, which Taurus is, it kind of feels like we are being heavily weighted into our physical bodies, where it is that we've been flying high with this fire energy, riding on impulse, riding on high vibrations and frequencies of intense passion or anger. We kind of feel like we get rooted. That Taurus energy, being an earth energy, roots us in our physical body, grounds us in our physical circumstances. And that can be very, I'm going to say, debilitating for a little bit of time until we adjust to that, because we kind of fly high and are a little bit excitable and semi-manic in fire energy. And then we have to ground that out, come back down to earth in this earth energy. But before that happens, this moon semi-squaring with Mars, and again, Mars ruling over this Aries energy, but sitting in this Gemini energy, we are definitely making some very aggressive productivity when it comes, well, I should say progress, when it comes to sorting through our thoughts, sorting through our emotions, aligning with a path, motivating ourselves, inspiring ourselves in order to logically and practically come up with a plan, a strategy for us to take action on. Now, doesn't mean that the action is going to present itself right now, but we are getting kind of fired up in our heart space and again in our mental plane, because Mars, being the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, is kind of caught up in the intellectual battlefield. We don't know where to direct our energy. We don't know what to be motivated, inspired, and determined to actually take action on. That's why we've been stalled out, and having the moon in Aries kind of all fired up and shaky and unstable. We're passionate. We have new desires, but we're also recognizing that the line between passion and anger is very thin. We don't want to act on impulse, but we also don't want to think too much about it because that might take away some of the passion and the inspiration that we so desperately need, sparking us, fueling the fire for us to actually move forward. So having this little bit of a tension point, which a semi-square is putting us in a situation for us to get a little bit more focused on sorting things out in our heart space, in our mental plane, so that we can prepare to take action, which Mars is all about. But we have to sort through the details, and we have to kind of recognize some of the emotions and thoughts and ideas that have been popping up in us since this full moon in Pisces that illuminated a lot of aspects on what it is we need to let go of in order to actually pursue new paths, new desires, where dreams are concerned. This particular energy does create a tension point and uncomfortability, if you will, so that we can get very clear on what it is that we no longer want to sit in, what it is we no longer want to experience, so that we can focus very heavily on identifying how we can logically and practically move forward, pursuing a brand new path, brand new choice, brand new direction. Then the moon, again, 7:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, moves into Taurus energy. We are going to start the waking day off a little bit low, a little bit slow, a little bit heavy and weighted in our own bodies. This Taurus energy wants to stay present, wants to connect to the here and now, wants to feel contentment, wants to feel good in our bodies, regardless of what's going on around us, wants to feel a little bit safe and secure and a hell of a lot more stable than we've been feeling in a very long time. Although the moon shifts into this Taurus energy at 7:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we actually don't have any action until 11 a.m. when the moon goes ahead and bumps into Saturn in a most beautiful way. This is present moment in our physical circumstances, recognizing the roles, the responsibilities that we have first to ourselves to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, that we're nurturing ourselves, that we're doing what we can to listen to our physical body, give it what it needs. We are doing what we can in this present moment to stay in this present moment, not get too far ahead of ourselves in the futuristic realm of dreams and manifestation, and also not lose ourselves to the past. Again, we have 6 planets that are retrograde, forcing us to look back in order to figure out how we want to move forward. One of those planets are Mr. Saturn, Mr. Karma himself. He is retrograde in Aquarian energy, showing us where it is in the past that we sacrificed doing what was right for us, what felt good for us, what we wanted, needed, and desired in order to do what we thought was best for other people or what we thought other people wanted from us. And of course, where that's gotten us. And of course, we don't want to do that anymore. So this is all about recognizing the happiness, the joy, the contentment in the here and now, and recognizing where it is that we're carrying weight and kind of carrying a little bit of, I'm going to say, hatred towards some of the roles and responsibilities and the commitments that we've made to other people that, of course, don't feel good to us anymore, that don't support us doing what is right for ourselves. And because this is a positive aspect, we're having these realizations. And from those realizations, we are formulating a plan on what it is that we're going to do to kind of fix this and remedy this so that we can feel good about ourselves, about our energy, about our effort, about what we're doing in the world for ourselves so that we can be our best selves for the people that we actually care about, that we actually want to help, that we we actually want to support in our lives. So this is a little bit of a reality check. I will say that it's a little bit more clarity in the here and now, if you will. That Saturn energy being in Aquarius energy, which is futuristic and visionary. Yeah, we do need to kind of think about whether or not what we're doing in the here and now is the same thing we want to be doing in the future. And for many of us, that answer is no. And from that no, we can come up with an alternative solution on how we can get out of certain situations and build certain structures, foundations, and systems for ourselves now to get us into a situation where we don't feel so heavily weighted by some of these roles and responsibilities as we move forward into the future. The moon is going to bump into Jupiter. Jupiter is a magnifier. He is all about growth and improvement, about our blessings, about abundance, about our beliefs. He is retrograde in Aries energy, taking us back to April and May of this year when Jupiter moved out of Pisces energy, moved into Aries energy, and we kind of got some pep in our step. We kind of got the green light, go ahead, to jump ahead, to cut the cord with the past, to jump into new chapters, to begin something new, and how that actually worked out for us. So this particular situation is likely going to trigger and activate a situation in our physical realms in the here and now that has us questioning what we actually got ourselves into, where it is that we actually want to stay in some similar situations, and where it is, most importantly, that we want to break free, starting again. Now, the good thing is that with Jupiter retrograde, we're going to be able to retrace our steps, redo things in a different way when Jupiter goes direct. And right now, because of the moon in Taurus, we're very much in the present moment, trying to judge what feels good for us, what doesn't, what we feel content with, what doesn't, what we feel like we need to change within our daily lives, our daily routines, our relationships, and what we want to stay the same. And because of this, it's shining a huge light on the growth, the healing, the improvements that we've already done in order to provide ourselves with safety and security and stability within our own lives, and where it is that we still have room for improvement. Now, this is also coming with a huge blast of a trigger and activation from the outside world trying to magnify for us, where it is that we're not, I'm going to say, feeling so good in the here and now. Please use that as a framework to decide what would be a better alternative and to do what you can in order to start building towards that alternative so that we can free ourselves from certain situations that we are definitely identifying we don't want to experience any longer. The moon is going to bump into the sun in not the nicest way. This is an overlap of our emotions versus our determination. This is our heart space versus our ego self, where it is we need to pour our time and energy into the here and now. This is a clear-cut overlap between the old that we have to move away from and the new that we wish to create for ourselves. Now, the moon in Taurus is an earth energy. The sun in Virgo is an earth energy. We have Taurus energy and Virgo energy working together to see what it is we need to create from here, what it is we need to give birth to, what it is we need to build for ourselves in the here and now, in our physical lives, in our day-to-day life, in order to give us a little bit more of a supportive, encouraging foundation, not only for us to stay stable and safe and secure within our own emotions and our own circumstances, but to value ourselves, find the worth within ourselves. And more importantly, because this is an overlap, this is showing us what it is that we need to fix. Again, the Virgo energy is the problem solver, but in order to solve a problem, you have to identify the problem, the root cause of that. And being in the moon energy of Taurus, very grounded, very present in our physical bodies and in our physical circumstances, we should have no problem identifying what does not feel good, what we do not want to experience. And from that, we can analyze it right to death and figure out how we're going to solve this, how we're going to fix it. And this Virgo energy wants to return us to a state of health and wellness and wholeness. But we do have to sit in the funk of the here and now, reflecting back over how we even got here in order to be present in the moment to say, you know what, that's great. I've outgrown that experience. Here's what I'd like to do from here, and here's how I'm going to fix it. Very much the sun shining a bright light on the here and now, on what it is that we have to build in the here and now to get us away from where it is that we've been and closer to where it is that we desire to be. We wrap the day up with the moon bumping into Mercury in such a way that is going to provide us with a learning opportunity, an opportunity to put forth the aha moments that we're having. Now, the moon is our heart space. Mercury is our head space. Mercury is retrograde, which means that he's essentially drunk and drugged, unconscious, at the wheel. What does this mean? It means that our intellect isn't working as smoothly and as efficiently as we would like. It's harder to come up with logical, practical, I'm going to say, perspectives and understandings. Instead, when Mercury is retrograde, we have to lean a little bit more into our intuition, into the way that things feel instead of the way that we think things should feel. Because Mercury is retrograde, we are looking back, we are reflective, we are revising. The moon in Taurus just wants to stay in the present moment, so we are going to get a little bit of friction from this particular energy. The moon being our heart space, Mercury being our head space, and them not getting along at this present moment means that we're seeing very clearly where it is that our heart and our head are not in agreement, that they're not on the same page, and we have to make efforts to actually get on the same page. Again, another instance of identifying what isn't working, what doesn't feel good, what we no longer want to experience in the here and now, in order to reflect back, retrograde energy, see how we got here, in order for us to have an aha moment on what it is that we want to do to change it, especially with our relationships. Why? Because Mercury is retrograde in Libra. Libra is all about relationships. It's all about finding a balanced energy in relationships. It's also about finding peace and harmony in our lives, but we tend to find that peace and harmony by exploring the extremes in life. Now, here's the thing. The way that these two are interacting is an opportunity, a choice point to put something into action. Now, this may mean that we're receiving information from the outside world, especially from a personal relationship that really jolts us to make us feel not so good, so that we can identify what it is that is broken, what it is we don't want to experience, what it is that we've outgrown, so that we can fix it. Or we're having a shift in our heart space or in our head space to make us see things, see people from a different light, so that we can go ahead and revise our plans in the here and now that we have for the future on what that's going to look like, not involving said person or creating distance with said person. Keep in mind, Mercury's retrograde in Libran energy will resolve relationship issues if you're in a relationship and a soul contract that is needed for your soul's experience and purpose and mission right now, or will dissolve relationships that you've outgrown, that you have fear attachments to, that you just are having a hard time detaching yourself from. So there's a whole lot of inner processing going on with our emotions, with our mind space, with the way that we are seeing people, seeing their true colors for the way that they actually are instead of the way that we've painted them to be. And it comes with a huge, I'm going to say, gap that we have to kind of work through and process between the way that we feel and the way that we think. Now, this could also be an opportunity for us to get into a conversation that likely won't go so well. Mercury retrogrades are notorious for miscommunications, for misunderstandings. And what I will say is that if you listened to the September energy forecast and you listened to Mercury's retrograde astro forecast, you would know that shit's going to fall apart when Mercury is retrograde in Libra. And then we get to put it back together in a better way when Mercury slips back into its place of power in Virgo later on this month. So just pay attention to the conversations that you're having, the thoughts that you're having, the feelings that you're having, the gap in between your heart and your head, the information coming at you, the details coming at you, the perspective and understandings that are constantly being reprocessed within you in order to attempt to make it make sense, to find peace, to find balance within the very extreme thoughts and feelings that we're all currently going through in attempt to be realigned with our soul's mission, with our soul's purpose.